We've been exposed to the ideas of many great philosophers during our years at Dwight-Englewood. One, though, managed to slip through the cracks. I stumbled across his philosophies on YouTube, of all places. The man goes by the name of Will Smith. You might have heard of him. The video is a compilation of quotes from interviews of Will in which he's describing his philosophy on life. The video is 10 minutes long and is titled The Work Ethic Wisdom of Will Smith. Please watch it. Make it the first thing you do when you get home, because it's far better than anything I have to offer in the next 10 minutes' time. It was shown to me by a mentor of mine a few months ago, and since then, I have not left my house in the morning without watching it. It has changed my life. The more I watch it, the more it affects me, and the more I realize that the philosophies of Will Smith are exactly the principles that we, the Dwight-Englewood graduating class of 2011, need to carry as our guiding light as we leave this amazing place and take the next steps on our separate journeys. I've broken the philosophy down into 4 main categories, and once the categories are described, I'll briefly tell you what I personally plan to do with them. The first category. If we make a demand from the universe, it will listen to us. Will believes that our thoughts, feelings, dreams, and ideas are physical entities, and that the first step to getting anything done is simply having a dream and making the demand for it to happen. For Will, there's never a reason for a plan B, because all it does is distract from plan A. When this is our mindset, the universe becomes something that is not here to push us around, but rather something that is here to enable our dreams. This is something that we've seen in action here in the class of 2011. Take Eric Rosengart, for example, who aimed at making varsity tennis as a sophomore and ended up making all-state instead. Or take Debbie Rivera, who aimed at bringing a Latino culture appreciation assembly to our school and ended up standing in front of the division introducing Bob Menendez onto the stage as the keynote speaker. Take Ryan Parangi, who aimed at dedicating himself to personal fitness as a cute, chubby little freshman, and now he stands before us like some type of Greek statue. Take Lexi Byron, who aimed at intensively pursuing visual arts for the first time this year and ended up with a portfolio of feminist artwork that she and her family will forever prize. And take Sarah Weintraub, who aimed at learning Chinese one summer and a few months later was scaling the Great Wall on a Dwight-Englewood trip, practicing her Mandarin with the locals. Have a dream, make a demand, forget plan B, be willing to do anything to get plan A, and the universe will enable it. D-E has taught us this, but it's something that we need to constantly remind ourselves of as we move to our next phases in life. Remember that if we aim at nothing, that is exactly what we will hit every time. This brings us to category number 2, a category that further describes just how we should go about making demands from the universe. The key, according to Will, is to never be realistic. If we think about it, being realistic hasn't gotten anyone anywhere in human history. Will reminds us of this in the following remark, quote, "It's unrealistic to walk in a room, flip a switch, and lights come on. That is unrealistic. Fortunately, Edison didn't think so. It's unrealistic to bend a piece of metal and fly people over an ocean in that metal. That's unrealistic. Fortunately, the Wright brothers didn't think so." End quote. Bottom line, class of 2011, don't be afraid to make your demand from the universe a big one. When we face doubters and head shakers, just tell them that we've got big things planned and that it would be wisest to get on board or kindly get out of our way. And that brings us to category number 3 of the philosophy, A category that tells us that these big things that we've got planned, they all must have one thing in common. They must change the world for the better, period. This is not something that we should be intimidated by. It's the opposite, actually. It should comfort us. Changing the world for the better can be done in more ways than winning Nobel Prizes and presidential elections. The employee on this campus, for instance, who has changed my world the most, wasn't even an educator in the formal sense, never stepped foot in a classroom with me. He is attending this graduation, but he does not wear a spiffy robe. I shared this man's remarkable story with the student body last year. The story of an accredited lawyer in Peru who was exiled from his country as a young parent by the corrupt government, choosing to settle in America, a land where he knew nobody and spoke no English. The story of a man who was forced to abandon his law degree and seek blue-collar work because food was needed fast on his dinner table. The story of a man whose sacrifice and hard work paid off, for his children are now grown and leading successful lives, teaching in universities around the world. The story of a man who works maintenance here, a man named Jaime Cardenas, a man who every day still cleans up after people like me who have worked nowhere near as hard as he has in his life. It's the story of a man who remains proud of his job and the contribution that he makes to this school, as he should be, because this place couldn't function without him. The very chair you sit in right now was probably placed by Jaime. This man changes the world for the better because his pride, his smile, and his work ethic inspire me, an inspiration that fuels me every day. Since I've met Jaime, quitting is never an option for me because I know Jaime is somewhere working harder, operating on less sleep, and showing no signs of slowing down. And because of this, Jaime has lived up to Will Smith's third category. He teaches us that regardless of the demand we make from the universe or where we end up, whether we work maintenance or win Nobel Prizes, we can always change the world for the better. He teaches us that if the world is not a better place when we're done here, we've wasted our time. This brings us to the fourth and final category of the philosophy, a category that further details how we should go about fulfilling our dreams and changing the world for the better. Will illustrates this category by telling the story of his father tear down a brick wall in front of the family business and forcing a 12-year-old Will and his 8-year-old brother to rebuild it as a summer project, a task that they deemed impossible. After 2 years of hard work, however, the wall was complete. Will explains how they accomplished this by saying, quote, "We didn't try to build a wall. That's not what we set out to do. We didn't set out saying we're going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. We didn't start there. Rather, we said we are going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And we did that every single day, and soon we had a wall," end quote. This is how we need to approach changing the world and fulfilling our dreams. Just lay one brick at a time, pay less attention to where we are on the journey, and pay more attention to the placement of that single brick. Everything becomes attainable when we look at things this way. And this marks the end of the 4 categories. I would like to share with everyone, though, a few of the key ideas and dreams that I have formulated while listening to Will Smith's philosophies. Here they are. Although the class of 2011 is undoubtedly a talented, intellectual, daring, kind group, we are also an extraordinarily lucky group. We are lucky like every group of Dwight-Englewood graduates are. We are lucky because our families sent us here. Families with the means, the initiative, the wisdom, or some combination of these 3 decided that securing one of these 107 seats would give us an advantage in navigating this fascinating, rapidly changing, often stormy world that awaits us. Our families were right. Ask any DE alum and they will agree that the group of students that sits before you today has been prepared, truly prepared, to face whatever the storms are that our journeys will inevitably hold. And so I tip my cap. I tip my cap first to the graduates, us, because the preparation that DE has given us was not handed on a silver platter. It took hard work to get through this place. And we deserve this. I also tip my cap to the families who had the means, the initiative, or the wisdom to secure one of these seats. You too have worked hard to keep us here, and we don't thank you often enough. And of course, I tip my cap to the faculty and staff of Dwight-Englewood. Your tireless work got us to this point, and we are forever indebted. But personally, I can't accept it. I cannot accept the fact that so much of the reason for my preparation was generated from luck. Luck of living in this country, luck of coming from a family with the means, initiative, and wisdom to send me here, and the luck of having a place like Dwight-Englewood to usher me into the next phase of my journey. These lucky circumstances have put me and the 107 graduates into a population of 18-year-olds around the world that is tiny and elite. A group of 18-year-olds that has had access to opportunities that most 18-year-olds would kill for. Opportunities that 18-year-olds in Mumbai and Sudan and Palestine and Haiti and Harlem, and yes, 18-year-olds living only a few blocks down this very hill in Englewood would have killed for. The dream I have, the demand I am making, the wall that I am building, is one that calls for this to change. Luck needs to matter less. More people need to get lucky. And we, the lucky few, need to take more time to understand that the majority of the world does not sit on this stage. The majority of the world cannot fathom Will Smith's concept of making a demand from the universe. To most, this world is something that they have no control over. And we are a minute, privileged group that is lucky enough not to see things this way. We are a group that fears not the storms of life. We're a group that the storms themselves fear. This group needs to get bigger, and it needs to get bigger fast. And when it does, when there are more storms fearing 18-year-olds than 18-year-olds fearing storms, watch out, for no storm will be too large or violent. That is my wall. Help me build it. I'll help you build yours. We'll do it one brick at a time. I can't wait to see what we build. Congratulations, class of 2011. Now let's get to work. Thank you.